Hi, everyone. I'm Christy Forsyth with Clarity by Christy. This is your weekly reading where we talk all about what to expect out of the collective energy this week, the energy that each and every one of us is feeling, and how we can best navigate it. So, I'm going to help you to understand the things that you're feeling. I'm going to help you to understand the things that are showing up in your experience and how you can avoid some of the pitfalls and how you can use some of this energy to make the most of what we have going on. So have a seat, jump in, say hello, and we are going to dive in. So we're going to talk about the channeled messages that I have connected with, what I'm feeling with the energy, and then we will finish the reading up with a tarot reading to build upon the messages. So let me know how you're feeling. Are you guys, there's a lot going on. Are you noticing that? How are you feeling? How are you doing? How are you navigating? If you are in my membership, you have probably watched the monthly reading. I always give an overview of what to expect. And you guys know that the month of November, there's a lot that's going on. And it's quite a process that we are going to be navigating. But I also think that it's a really beautiful process that we have going on. So I am filming this on the 4th, Tuesday the 4th. So here overnight, we will have the full beaver moon in Taurus that will be really shining a light. It feels very well, it's a full moon in an earth sign. And so it feels a little bit more grounded, and it has this energy of inviting us to really reflect and to think about things. And I think specifically what is being highlighted for us here around this full moon is how we value ourselves, what it is that we actually value, and where we need to make adjustments so that our lives reflect that value, so that we're surrounding ourselves with the people that we value, with the circumstances that we value. And I think that we're taking a look at that. Are you guys noticing that you're doing that here around this energy? And there is this invitation here with this full moon for us to make some changes, whether that is changing how we're spending our time, what are investing our energy into, the effort that we are wanting to put in. So I want you to notice, like, where does it feel like things are missing that you want to lean into? Where does it feel like things aren't quite working and you want to make some adjustments to that? Where do we need to make adjustments to finances or the other things that we are investing in? So I think that there's a lot of questions that we are exploring. And to me, this moon feels like a coming home to ourselves, coming home to who we are, coming home to our truth, and honoring that no matter what, because I think that we've been doing some really difficult work. I think we've been having hard conversations. I think that we've been putting ourselves out there in ways that have been really challenging. And I know for myself, I have done that. And that's been hard because we don't always get like what we expect to get when we put ourselves out there, or we challenge ourselves in these ways, or we take these leaps of faith, right? But the message that I get with this is like, we've got to consider that it might not look great right now, but because we have been willing to listen to ourselves, honor ourselves, that is going to pay off. So in whatever ways you're honoring yourself, keep going with that, right? And then in whatever ways you feel like you need to make changes to honor yourself more, make sure that you're making those changes and making those adjustments for yourself. There's a recalibration that's happening for us, a reset for us, for our energy. Have you guys noticed the solar flares have been wild over the past couple of days? We had an X flare today, which those are pretty significant. We can really feel that. And we had, I believe it was like 5 or 6 M level flares yesterday. So we are getting hit with a lot of energy on top of the intensity of the full moon. And I feel like specifically with this particular full moon and with this energy, you might be feeling it a lot in your body. It might be showing up as physical tiredness. You might have a lot of sensations in the body. You might have pain. You might just have feel like tingling in the body. Are you noticing that things are happening here, showing up on a physical level in the body? So there's this whole recalibration that's coming in with this energy. And I think what comes on the other side of that is a better version of ourselves. This coming home to our authentic selves, our true selves, and what it is that we truly want and we truly value. And that's going to be really important. We also, on the 9th, so that will be here over the course of this week, we go into Mercury retrograde. You guys are already feeling it. I already have had my computers being kind of glitchy today. We're already having these tech glitches. And so Mercury retrograde begins on November 9th. So we are preparing for that and we feel it. And it feels like a big one. So we're going to be shifting on. What day is that? I believe maybe Sunday is the 9th. So we're feeling as we're heading into that, but know that there is going to be, with this Mercury retrograde, I think a lot of opportunities to do some things better. I think there's going to be opportunities for second chances. So as much as we're all like, oh, Mercury retrograde, I think this one is about second chances. I think this one is about doing things better. And you might see that being teed up for us to do that as we get further on into the Mercury retrograde. This week to me feels like the prep for that. The beginning to go within, beginning to assess our values, letting ourselves focus on ourselves. I think that's a big focus that needs to be happening right now. I think we're taking a look at we're showing up differently in relationships. And the most important relationship that we are being invited to show up differently in is the relationship with ourselves. So there may be a part of you that's like, hey, you've been ignoring this for a long time. It's time for you to honor me. It's time for you to listen to that thing that your intuition has been asking for you to do, or that change that you've been feeling called to make. So it's almost like that part of ourselves here this week is saying, hey, it's time to listen. I think that this is going to be a time period, not just this week, but this month, of us truly being able to hear what our heart has to say. And how does that quote go from The Alchemist? You'll never be able to escape your heart, so you might as well listen to what it has to say, right? So this is about tuning in with ourselves and listening to our hearts and listening to where we need to do better by ourselves, where we need to do better by other people as well, or where we want to make adjustments to relationships, but where do we need to do better by ourselves as well? I think there's a lot of healing. I think there's a lot of shifting. And so with this energy this month, as much as flow is always important, flow is going to be extra important right now. And letting things kind of unfold in a quiet way. I've been saying the past several months, or several weeks, that we're doing a lot of this growth and this movement in silence. We're keeping it to ourselves, or we're keeping it to a small inner circle, and we're just growing and working and developing. And it doesn't have to be this big, outward, obvious thing, because you know what you're doing and you know what you're working on. And I do feel like in Scorpio season, which is what we're in now, it is a little bit of that energy where we're moving in silence. We're doing this work in silence. We're doing a lot of this shadow work and this willingness to dive deep. And that's only going to go deeper. And we are being encouraged to go deep this month with ourselves, to look deeply into ourselves in ways that maybe we've been too scared to look at before, to go deep in terms of a willingness to be vulnerable, to go deep in terms of really looking at situations from different perspectives and deciding what it is that we truly want without allowing fear to influence that. And this flow that we're being called to shift into, part of that flow is a willingness to let go of force. Hi, Shannon. Nice to see you here. Part of it is this willingness to let go of control, this willingness to let go of force. Like I said, there were some things that I did to honor myself that didn't work out the way that I wanted them to in the moment. But we have to flow and we have to let it unfold. And it's like my intuition still knew. My intuition had been calling for me to do that thing for a long time. And so I honored it. And who knows what that brings, but I know that that brings good for the long term, better for the long term, because I was willing to honor myself. And even though that didn't go the way that I wanted it to, there's nothing that I don't actually have control over that. We can't control other people. We can't control circumstances. We only have control over ourselves. And so focusing on what is within my control and letting everything else go. It will be very highlighted for you this week if you are trying to force anything. This is not the time to force. This is a time to flow. And we may not like it, but we have to allow this to all unfold. We have to let ourselves just kind of be in this flow, because in this energy too, not just this week, but as we progress through this retrograde, there's this energy of a lot of returns. Retrogrades are about the words, right? Reflect, review. But this time I feel like it's returns. So second chances, returns of people, of energy, of teachers, maybe like some kind of like a coming back to a learning that we were connected with at one point. And also a return to ideas that maybe we set aside or we forgot about. And all of a sudden, I think you're going to find these things are coming back up. So there's a lot that's coming to the surface. A lot. And so we want to be, it's so funny. Somebody commented on my post today and said the lazy river. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot that I used to call it that when we were in flow. Like, can we treat it like a lazy river? Can we just let ourselves be carried and enjoy the lazy river? That's my favorite thing. I'm not a big amusement park person or even water park person, but I love a lazy river. And so in my mind, that's what I like to see when I'm letting myself go with the flow, because I know that the lazy river is going to carry me exactly where I need to go. And I'm just chill because it's a lazy river, right? And so on this lazy river, I also think like here this week before this retrograde hits, there may be some very clear instructions that you get, actions that you're feeling. The word I got was compelled to take, that you're going to want to jump on. You will know it is your intuition. You will get that gut sense. You will get that soul level recognition, like, yes, this is something that I need to do. So listen to all of that, okay? This is a little bit of, there's still movement happening, but we're settling in because it's going to be a time where we really need to flow, where we're really going within and reflecting and processing, and there's going to be confusion, and it's okay. Part of us trying to control things sometimes is like to try to make sense of the confusion, but it will make sense when it makes sense. And part of the confusion that comes up during a Mercury retrograde is about helping us to see things from different perspectives, or to understand ourselves better, or to heal something that it's time to heal. So trust the journey, trust the process. Now is a really beautiful time to trust the process. And if you feel compelled to do something, especially in regard to this chance, a second chance, a chance to do something better, to handle something better, to restart something in a way that you know that you can show up better, I want to invite you to take that this week. Okay, so let's look at the cards. I will pull the cards and then I will explain the meanings afterwards. So the first card that we have is the moon. Okay, we know we've got this moon coming. That makes sense to me. The strength card also makes a lot of sense to me. The 5 of Swords. Okay. Challenging energy for sure. Okay, another Swords card. We're going to be in our heads for sure. 7 of Swords. All of these make sense. The Knight of Swords. Okay, swords, swords, swords. Swords are mental processes, their thoughts. We're going to be doing a lot of work on our thoughts, a lot of reflecting, a lot of thinking, maybe some overthinking as well. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles. I'm hearing pull one more, so I'm going to, the Fool. And this is what is on the other side of it, is the beginning of a new journey. So, okay, let's start. So the Moon card. The Moon card is like, number one, that cloudiness that comes with the moon, right? That we are in darkness and the sun is not out. And while the full moon can shine a light on things, with the moon card, it's like things happening that you can intuitively maybe feel or you have some sense of, but you don't know for sure. There's not a lot of evidence on the surface that supports that. I want you to lean into your intuition. I want you to trust that. The veil is still very, very thin. I want you to trust it, and I want you to lean into that, and I want you to know that there are things being orchestrated for us behind the scenes. I want you to pay attention to your intuition. Let yourself be led. Let yourself be shown. Notice what feels like a sign. Notice what feels like a message. Notice what feels like help. I've gotten a lot of repeating numbers and I've needed the reassurance the past couple of weeks. And so I've had a lot of that show up, and I want you to watch for that and pay attention to that too. Again, I may not know how things will work out, but my intuition says that they will. And I have a sense of that. And I think your intuition says that you will too. And you might even feel a sense when I'm talking about a chance to do things better. You might have a sense intuitively of what that looks like, or what's going to come in for you, or what kind of things that you're going to be working through as we go through this full moon and this retrograde. But you want to make sure that you're listening to that and trusting the feeling, even if you don't have concrete evidence of that. Speaking of the moon, I do have my full moon energy session up. It is very powerful for those of you who are in my membership. I put the link down below. You get access to that and all of the 4+ years worth of membership stuff that I have been loading in there, all classes and meditations and hypnosis sessions. So check that out. Also tools, lots of tools in there to help support you during this retrograde, during this full moon, all the things. So then we have the Strength card. And notice like the big full moon in the background. I think that part of what we're being called to do and invited into, look at the way that she is looking, staring that lion down. This is the courage to do that which needs to be done. And we're still in that energy. And so you might feel compelled, like this is something that I need to do, but it might scare you a lot. It might feel like you're looking in the eyes of a lion. It's coming face to face with something that terrifies you, but something that on a soul level, you know, is going to make you better, is going to bring you to a better place, is going to pull you away from, see these mountains in the background. It's this willingness to just one step at a time, a little bit at a time, be willing to move forward into something that scares you, but you know will be good for you, that you know is part of your expansion. By the way, a little caution for the week. I forgot to mention this, but I did feel this in the energy that there's possibilities for us to go overboard on things this week as well. So you don't want to go like so far the other direction where you're challenging your fear. So what I mean by that is like things like going overboard with like spending or like emotional eating or something. Definitely lots of possibilities for that, like indulging in some way or even over resting, right? And wanting like not we're feeling this really physically, so you might want to be getting a lot of extra rest, but at the same time, not to the point that you are burying your head in the sand. We don't want to be burying our heads in the sand in this energy, okay? Speaking of that, that might be difficult to do, or you may want to do that with all of these swords that we have coming up. So we have the Five of Swords. So there may be something that comes to light this week that you don't like, but it gives you a better understanding. It helps you to understand how you need to proceed, how you need to move forward. This can be some kind of a trust violation, but it doesn't have to be. It can simply be like, oh, I don't really like the way that that went down, but that gives me the information that I need. That helps me to understand what it is that I need to know. There is clarity through challenge. There is clarity through heartbreak. There is clarity that comes through choices that other people make. And that's the energy that I'm getting here with this. So try not to get too caught up in how hard that is, although I want you to feel your feelings and allow your emotions to come through. But instead, ask yourself, how is this making me better? Or what is this showing me that I need to see? Because there's a lot of that, right? Again, we have the Seven of Swords. These are my two cards back to back of possible deception, possible shadiness. So you might see some of that. But again, it's not about the shadiness. It's about what you need to see in the midst of this. It might lead you to this moment where you have to do something that really tests your strength, that really makes you afraid, but you're also crystal clear on what it is that you need to do. And speaking of what it is that you need to do, we have this Knight of Swords. This is the perfect energy of being compelled to do something, right? Compelled into giving something a second chance, compelled to take an action, compelled to make a change, compelled to set a boundary. And again, like remember, we're looking at how we value ourselves, what we value, that kind of stuff. So there may be actions that we take in, quick, rapid actions in response to that. Or we might see how other people value us. And that might become clear, and we might take action in response to that. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles, which makes total sense to me that showing up, because the Queen of Pentacles knows her worth, knows her value, and she's very mindful about that. She's very intentional with her time and her energy. She's very warm, she's very loving, but she's also very intentional. And so you might be taking a look at that. Like, what contributes in a positive way in the world, in my world around me, and what doesn't, and what is most important to me? And you might be surprised at the answer to that question. You might answer that question and be like, oh, wow, like maybe I was afraid to acknowledge that that was important to me before, but now I see it. So we're taking a look at that, and maybe we're also taking a look at, what do I want to invest in and what do I not want to invest in? With this Fool card, it's, again, this is being compelled into some kind of a new beginning, a restart, especially in this energy. So it might be, again, a second chance, a restart, a revisiting something that you maybe started, but you didn't finish. And it's time to circle back and begin again with that. So I feel that really strongly. Or if this moon is shining a light on some things that you just see really clearly, and now it's like, okay, now I've got to move in this direction. So bottom line, trust yourself, let yourself be led, let yourself go with the flow, but take that action where you feel compelled to take action as well. And that is going to serve you really well this week. Don't get caught up in burying your head in the sand. Don't get caught up in going overboard with things. That's not what this energy is about. In fact, it's very much a slow down and really get comfortable with listening to yourself, listening to your heart, honoring yourself and honoring your heart. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for being here live. Hi, Mary. Hi, Prakash. Sorry I didn't see your comments before, but thank you for being here. I love you all, and I will see you next week with another video. Take care.